and the many others whose lives were ended by police brutality and the white supremacy that guides it. None of us are free unless we all are free.
We are here today because police continue to murder Black and Indigenous people. We are here today because state-sanctioned anti-Blackness continues to be a threat, because Black and Indigenous people are not safe in cities, including the City of London. We struggle in solidarity with Indigenous communities. We are angry and saddened by the news of Aisha Hudson, Jason Collins, and Kevin Andrews, 3 Indigenous people shot by police in Winnipeg, and Chantel Moore, a young mother and Indigenous woman shot by police in BC. When we envision futures for Black people, futures we are free, and it's just as important to imagine a future where Indigenous people are free. We believe that in order to achieve some Black liberation and win the fight against white supremacy, we must also fight for the independence of Indigenous people and continue to resist ongoing colonialism. We are gathering tonight from all across Turtle Island, and we fight together for Indigenous resurgence and Black liberation and freedom. We are beginning with a moment of silence to honor all of the victims of police murder in Canada and across the world. Justice for Caleb, Tabila Njuko of London. Justice for Dondre Campbell, George Floyd, Jermaine Carby, Andrew Loku, Abdurrahman Abdi, Ahmed Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Yusuf al-Hassawi, Dwayne Christian, Tony McDade, and all of the unnamed people who have been murdered by the state. Now we're going to have a moment of silence, and we're going to have George singing the Black National Anthem.
Sing it loud, George! Yeah! Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high at the listening skies. Let it resound loud at the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith and the dark past has brought us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Oh, let us march on till victory is won.
We stand in solidarity with all those in Minneapolis and across the U.S. calling to defund the police and calling for the abolition of prisons, because that is the only way forward, and the only way we stand in solidarity with all of those in Minneapolis and across the U.S. calling. And the only way to ensure our communities are not broken up and divided, that people are not taken away from those that love and protect them, that people are not used to a means for cheap and exploitative labor. Prisons do nothing to heal. They serve only the interests of the state, interests that are fundamentally anti-Black and anti-Indigenous. There are alternate ways of creating safe communities that we have already seen both with the COVID-19 outbreak and the riots happening across the states. Black communities can and have been showing up for one another by keeping each other safe, sharing resources, space, time, and energy. The City of London has never addressed issues about systematic violence and racism in a meaningful way, despite consistent advocacy from Black organizations in London. Before the march, we'll be having a couple of speakers. First, we're going to have Leroy. As a keynote seminar speaker, workshop facilitator, educator, and consultant, Leroy addresses critical issues that range from cultural engagement, racial equality, character development, leadership, and healthy communication. As a sought-after dynamic speaker, he has been gifted with the ability to make the above topics understandable, realistic, and enjoyable through his energetic and interactive approach. Please welcome Leroy Hibbert.
Folks, just a hand clap for these folks that organize this event, please. You know, I came out and when I saw the situation with George Floyd, I did not know how to respond. When I was asked to come here and do a presentation briefly, I did not know what I could say that has not already been said. What could I articulate that has not been already articulated? But I was reflecting at home, downstairs, upstairs, and just around my community. And what I want to do is leave you with this. 5 words. Do you believe us now?
Yes!
When E.B. Smith went down to what's called the Grand Theater to do a wonderful production called Mountaintop about a man named Dr. Martin Luther King, who was born in 1929 and died in 1968 in front of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. He was assassinated, and then E.B. Smith, ironically, he had a break, and he wanted to just tour around the city because he's from Cleveland. And as he walked around the city, apparently when he was walking, somebody drove by and called him the N-word. Do you believe us now? When I get an email from a young student in a high school in London, Ontario, and he said, Leroy, I am a Black man, and he underlined the word black, and he said when he left his school to go to a store, he's being kind of racially profiled and followed. And he felt uncomfortable about that. The question I have for you is this. 5 words. Do you believe us now?
Yes!
When you have prejudice, when you have unaddressed prejudice that's married to power, you're going to have an unintended pregnancy that will give birth to an evil baby called racism. By Tony Evans. When I go to a high school, and as a student in a high school in London, Ontario, and we had what's called Slave Day in my high school, and I was a slave in my high school, one of my friends bought me, and it was to raise money for a campaign in the high school to give to different environments. And you may ask me, Leroy, why did you participate? Well, I didn't want to be the odd person out, because I was one of the few Black students in my high school. And then you may ask me a question, why did you do it? But the question I have is, how did it get to me? Do you believe us now?
Yes!